Welcome to the Keep the Faith podcast. I am your host, Tori, and of course, I have some distinguished gentlemen on the podcast today. Actually, Draper G. Myers, and he brought some friends with him. Now, let me tell y'all. Let me talk about Draper for a little bit. I've been trying to get Draper on this podcast for about 2 years, and y'all know that song. Y'all know that song. That gospel song. I've been running. And I ain't got tired. Yeah, he should be tired. I've been trying to get him on for 2 years. But nonetheless, here he is. So Draper, I would like for you to introduce yourself. Then once Draper introduce himself, Brandon, and then Mr. Brian Myers, if you don't mind. Tell us all of you tell us a little bit about yourself. Starting with Draper.
Hello, everybody. My name is Draper Myers. I'm the owner of Draper G. Myers Mortuary here in Florence, South Carolina. I'm a new business, been in business now a year and maybe 5 months now. God has been good to us, and we're very thankful. Just a young country boy with a business.
Draper, let me ask you. Matter of fact, I'm gonna ask all of you this same question. I want all of you to tell a bit about yourself, but starting with you, Draper, what made you get into the industry that you're in? Because everybody cannot do what you do.
Well, it's definitely a calling, but it's a work in progress if it's a calling. So I started off in the funeral industry around 12 years old in the graveyard, and I worked my way through the graveyard to the building and college, and now I owned a casket company as well. That what got me this far, and opened my business a year and a half ago.
Cool.
A lot of work. A lot of work.
Oh, we know you stay busy. Brandon.
All right, everybody, I'm Brandon from Florence, of course, employed here with Mr. Draper G. Myers. A little bit about myself. I do own a mortuary transport business. I started that 2 years ago in October. I have been blessed to transport for two of these gentlemen here that you see on this live, as well as some other firms in the PD surrounding areas.
Okay. Now what? The same question.
How old are you?
Come July, I'll be 23 years old. So starting out young. Starting out young. Good head on my shoulders, and so keep trusting God, and He'll take me where I need to go.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Wow. Do you know how many? It's rare that you find young men at your age that has that same mindset. So kudos to you for that. I'm so proud of you for being, because at 23, I tell people all the time, at 23, I always believed in God, but I didn't have a relationship, and that's a big difference. You got to have that relationship with God, and I was nowhere near that at 23. So I am so proud of you, Brandon. That is awesome and amazing. And Mr. Brian Myers.
All right. My name is Brian Myers. I'm the owner of Myers Mortuary and Cremation Services in Columbia, South Carolina. I actually got in the funeral profession by my grandfather. Had a very good friend in Holly Hill, South Carolina, Reverend Marshall, Samuel B. Marshall. And when I would go to visit my grandparents on the summertime, I used to go to all of these funerals, and Reverend Marshall had this baritone voice and all these gold rings and all this change in his pocket. And he was just a man amongst men, and I just admired him, and I wanted to be just like him. But I was absolutely scared of dead people. And it took me a while. It took me years to get over that fear. But Samuel Marshall, and our chapel is named after him. He's the reason why I got in the funeral profession.
So with you being afraid of the deceased, what made you, so what helped you conquer your fear of the deceased?
Just actually working in the funeral home. When I got to Atlanta Mortuary School, Gupton Jones, in 1996, I had an opportunity to work for Carl Williams, who's actually from Columbia, who owns a funeral home there in Atlanta. And I had a chance to actually work hand in hand with him. And that I got over my fear by just actually doing hands-on work.
I don't think I ever conquer my fear of the deceased because, to be honest with you, when I attend funerals, you know how after the message, after the service, I don't understand. I guess, of course, it's the family's preference, but I don't like when the casket is open after the service. I don't like to look after. I don't even like to look before. I don't like to go view bodies, but I will do it if I have to when people need my support and need me there. But for the most part, that's something that I don't like to do. I like to remember people how they were alive. So kudos to all of y'all that do that. But this is what
I think it's a calling, just like Draper and Brandon are called to do this. I think you have to be called to do this because it takes a special person to do this, to not only deal with people at the worst time of their life, but actually attempting to make their loved one look the best that they've ever been or ever seen. And that's a difficult, job at times when people go through sickness and that kind of thing. But my brother Draper and Brandon do a marvelous job of that. And that's why I tell Draper all the time, the sky's the limit for him. And it takes a special person to do it.
To be honest with you, Brian, me and Brian share the same last name. So a lot of times people get us a look mixed up. And I'll be like, no, that's Myers in Columbia, but we're like brothers.
That's
you
right.
know what I mean? I remember when I was on the road selling caskets with my casket company. He used to buy caskets from me. He used to work for Levy's Funeral Home in Columbia, one of the large firms in Columbia. And I used to love to watch him because he was this smooth, So when it came to him, he was one of my mentors. He might not notice I tell him this stuff, but I don't know if he believes it or not, but he's one of my mentors by me watching from afar, by him supporting my business, and by him giving me the push to even open my own doors. He was one of the gentlemen who influenced me to do that. So I try to do the same thing when it comes to Brandon. Brandon's 23, but Brandon, you started with me when you was around, what, 16, 17?
17.
wow.
Yeah.
And awesome. he can mimic or do even better than me on the service if I need him to. It's good to have somebody to lean on. You never know when you're not going to be feeling your best that day, and your family deserves your best because they gave their last to take care of their loved ones, so they deserve your best. So it's good to have somebody that you can actually lean on and know if he stands up there, he's gonna represent you well, and he does a great job. So I try to push him to know that it's going to be hard to get to where you're trying to go, but it can be obtained. You can get it. You're going to have some obstacles, a lot of them. Everybody's not going to like you, and you're trying to figure out why, but that's not for you to figure out. That's for you to keep going. So.
Absolutely. And Draper, you stated that at 12 years old, you knew that that's what you wanted at 12?
At 12. I started off digging graves. Because I grew up on a farm, so I was always driving tractors and all that kind of stuff. So my family owned a grave digging service. So we dug graves for majority of the funeral homes here in Florence. By me not having a license, they would take the tractors and leave me in the graveyard and go do the other graves that they had to do after they finished. They would come back and pick me up. So I did it all.
Leave you in the graveyard.
Yeah. I used to be out there sleep after I do my job, waiting on somebody to come pick me up.
Wow. Yeah. Well, this is a question I want to ask all of you. Of course, May is Mental Health Awareness. Of course, doing this job, you dealing with families that are grieving. And I know that, we're losing loved ones on a daily basis. While you're actually helping others keep their mental together, how do you keep your mental together?
That's a good question. Because it's actually something I'm actually dealing with now. I've been doing this for 28 years. I've owned my funeral home for 13 years, but this is the first time in the past 12 months where death has actually started to get to me. COVID kind of started it off because you would literally see people walk in your funeral home one day and be rolled in the next day, like literally. Or you have a family where one of the spouse, the husband may be deceased from COVID, and you're almost waiting on the wife to pass. It passed. It was just a lot. And within 18 months, I've never had that many people that I knew personally to pass. And it did something to me mentally. And I've had to, and that's something I'm actually dealing with. And a word that African Americans don't like to talk about or hear is therapist. And I actually have been doing research on getting therapy because we need to talk about our issues. And that's something that funeral directors or people don't realize that we have to deal with death too. I mean, we take on emotions all day. We have to deal with family issues at this table that are not ours. And that is very stressful. And, a lot of times people don't pray for people who take care of people who are sick. Those are the people who need prayer. So in this case, we're those who need prayer as well, taking on emotions. And you have to go home and be a family man or father or husband or brother, sister, and that's difficult at times.
Absolutely. And Draper and Brandon.
COVID was a really big hit for the funeral industry. I know a lot of people said, "Oh, y'all made a lot of money," but we lost a lot as well. When you say the mental, I have a counselor, so Brian, I understand what you're looking for and what you're studying now, but it helps me tremendously. So I advise people to seek counsel. I know we always tell people in our offices when it comes to death, it won't hurt for you to have counseling. I can recommend you to somebody, but we needed it as well. We see some of the ones that hit us the most are children. Any child that comes in your door is going to hurt you. But over these past couple of years, I've been meeting deaths under the age of from 30 on down. It's not the old folks that I'm burying. The old folks are coming to the funeral. I'm burying young folk. And just like what Brian said, 1 minute somebody walking your door you're speaking to, and the next day or so, they're rolling, and it hurts a lot of times. So we got to suck it up. Because I got to meet this mom who got to bury her son, and he's not that old, and she's not that old, and so we're trying to figure out ways to help them cope with it, but we're coping with it ourselves.
Yeah, that's actually really rough because I actually lost a cousin at 17 years old. And that last one, now it's one thing when they're sick, but when a life is taken tragically, it's devastating. This last one, that I don't really talk about it a lot, but that is really hurting me, to say the least. So I can't even imagine what you guys go through when you see the young people. And I'm actually going to show a couple of comments. Janice says, do any of you have a counselor or therapist that you speak with on a regular basis? Janice is actually a grief counselor as well. Okay. So
I need to get her information.
Okay. I'll definitely get her.
I'd love to have her information as well.
Okay, Janice, you hear that? They need your information. And Janice is actually one of my best friends that I went to high school with. So, and she's amazing. She has Zoom. She's actually in Greenville.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can actually do virtual, but she'll talk to you about all of that. But she is, when I tell y'all she's amazing, she's amazing. Yeah. And I'm not just saying that because she's my friend. She's definitely amazing. And Sonya says, hello, good people.
Hello, how you doing, Miss Cooper?
Hey, Miss Cooper. Sonya.
And Janice says, I hear you. Janice, make sure you put your information in the comments. If you can actually post your link, do that.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
And she says she's a member of Maxwell in Florence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pastor Kippy.
Pastor Kippy Brown.
Yeah.
That's my boy.
Yeah. Now,
matter of fact, Pastor Kippy, he just graduated from Mortuary College, and he's right now under testing, and he'll soon be a licensed funeral director in Baltimore. So wishing him well.
That's what's up.
Great guy.
Okay.
Yeah, great guy.
And Brandon, I was going to ask you the same question. How do you, especially with you being so young, how do you deal with that, dealing with your mental, especially when you see, because
it didn't bother me. Death didn't really bother me at first. People still ask me to this day, how do you do it? But recently back here in March it wasn't a tragic loss, but it was a sudden loss with my grandfather. And so going back to what Mr. Bryan said and Mr. Draper said about, somebody walking in your door, and the next day they got to be rolled in, So all this is in the same day, talking to my grandfather on the phone, seeing him that day, then getting the call that, he's home unresponsive. Not having any sicknesses in his body that we knew of. And so, having to have him at the firm that, I'm a part of, it was kind of challenging. And so, Draper being the great brother and mentor and boss that he is, he gave me that push, and, not saying that it was easy, but it did give me some release, because in my mind, I was, thinking, well, how am I going to feel doing the things that I had to do to other people? Now, here it is that I have to do it to my own flesh and blood. And then, having to prepare myself mentally to preach over his service, and so it still bothers me to this day. Always get questions as if, are you going to see a counselor? Are you going to see a therapist? And I always tell them, no, I think I'm okay. It's a little too early. So their response to me is, it's never too early, but you don't want to wait too late. Because, it can really get you, break you down mentally.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you something real quick. When I was an apprentice, and I was an apprentice at Ideal Funeral Parlor here in Florence, and Mr. Douglas Hawkins was my apprentice director, I guess, my funeral director and embalmer. So my grandmother passed away, and that's the only grandmother I had, because my other grandmother, I never met her. And so when I went to college, that was that woman that always called you and made sure you're doing well, you got something to eat, do you need anything? And when she passed away, knowing, she said, if something happened to me, I want you to take care of me. Now, grandmama is like, to me, grandmama is like a soft pillow. You don't want nothing to touch grandmama. You don't want a scratch to get on grandmama. You see what I'm saying? So when that happened, and I had to go pick her up from the hospital, and I had to bring her back to the funeral home, and I had to prepare my mind to work on her. I was an apprentice at this time. I know I stood back there with her before I did anything to her. I know a good 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Mr. Hawkins stepped his head in the door. You okay, Draper? Do you need anything? I said, I'm fine, Mr. Hawkins. I just need some time. So imagine the softest person in your life that passed away, and now you have to do a procedure on her, embalming on her. So that means that you have to cut her. And this woman, you won't ever want to scratch a piece of dirt to touch her. So that was a hard time for me. But when I made it through that actually trained me to be able to be ready for what I had to come to this point. So when Brandon, he had to face this. And I'm gonna tell the truth, Brandon, he shied away from it the same way I did, the same way any director or embalmer would do. And when I noticed him shying away from it, I stopped him. I said, Brandon, now, what your grandfather told you? And so we went through that spiel. After that, he got himself together. So now what I expect from Brandon at this point, as being a student and knowing what he know in the funeral industry now, I don't think anything can stop him. He can stop himself. But I don't think anything can stop, because if you can do a person that you really, really love, that really took care of you, and you do a well job on them, and you know that they will be proud. Anybody else that comes after that, including these close family members, you will know what to do to take care of your loved one. So if you can take care of your loved one, you should be able to take care of everybody else's too, with that same type of respect.
Yeah. And Simone Vereen says nothing can stop him. That's remarkable. That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. I can only imagine that could be hard. And then, of course, too, when you have to deal with, that's hard when it's sudden and when it's tragic. It's hard. I can't even imagine. Oh my God, Jesus.
What
So let me.
so what I
go ahead.
recommend to people, what I recommend to people, and Brian, you can back me up on this, is pre-need. I think pre-need is the most valuable, one of the most valuable things in funeral industry. It takes so much off of your loved ones when you have things already set up. I'm just give you one example. I had a pre-need that I did back in 2018, and the gentleman happened to pass away 2 weeks ago now, right? So that's, I'm just making a long story short. That service back then in 2018 from me, and what he picked his own stuff, was, I think it was $9,000 something, a little under $10,000. So his daughter, which I'm a single parent, my mom was a single parent, and I'm the only child, right? She was the only child by her dad. So she was in here setting things up. She said, "What do I need to do, Draper?" I said, "Well, let me go in the file and look," because I had the file. I said, "You just need to tell me what day you want to have this service, because your dad already took care of everything." And so while she's like, "Wow, that took so much off of me." I said, "But let me tell you what else it took off of you. Okay, this funeral now is $9,000. If we did this funeral today, if it was an at need, if he happened to just pass away and he had nothing set up, this funeral will actually cost you close to $13,000. So by him doing this back in 2018, saved her from having to do it, pay for a $13,000 funeral. And so when I look in that file and it says $9,000 something, I have to honor everything that I put in that file. It's already taken care of. Only thing I need for you to do, sweetie, is bring me his clothes and tell me what day you want this service, because everything else he done told me.
Wow.
It takes so much stress off the family.
And what exactly is that called again?
It's called pre-need.
Pre-need. Oh, wow. And all the, because that's it. Yeah, just listen, that may be something I need to do, because just hearing about that, I never heard of that before. Because I heard people say that they buy the
graded plot.
Yeah, the plot. But what good is the plot if you don't do that? What you just said, the pre-need. And that makes a lot of sense. If he bought it back in 2018, that also saves a lot of money as well. That's
during COVID, funerals went up in 1 year. Funerals went up probably about 3 times, Brian, 3 or 4 times in a year, and that was during COVID.
Wow.
And they go up every year. Now, automatically, it goes up every year because the price of everything goes up. But during COVID time, it went up 3 to 4 times.
Oh, wow.
The demand was greater, but the supply, of course, supply was at a shortage. So everything went up.
Wow. Jeez, that's something. Now, my other question.
When you do a pre-need arrangement with the funeral home, and that funeral is $9,000, it goes into a account that we have for pre-need, right? Funeral homes can't touch that money. We can't do anything with that money at all until after death. So you can do a pre-need with me back since 2018, and if he lived to be another 30, 40 years from now, we can't touch that money. Funeral homes cannot touch that money. And we got to honor that contract. Even though it was $9,000, if he lived another 20-something years, and that same funeral would have cost $20,000, I got to honor what I put in this folder, in this contract.
Listen, I hope people paying attention, because I am.
And the other part of that is, okay, say for instance, you don't want to come here anymore, and I got the pre-need here, right? You might want to go to Brian in Columbia. Your family moved to Columbia. Everybody moved to Columbia, and they want to bury in Columbia. This same contract that I would have in my file, Brian don't even got to call me. He can call Consumer Affairs and say, "I got such and such here in Columbia. He passed away. His family wants to come here, and he has a pre-need with Draper G. Myers in Florence." I can't get a hold of Draper G. Myers. He's not cooperating with us. Consumer Affairs is going to get into it. They're going to send that contract over to Brian Myers Mortuary in Columbia, and it's a done deal.
What?
Brian would take that contract, that pre-need, and honor everything in it, and have that funeral up there. It's already paid for. So Consumer Affairs will send that money to him.
What?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know this.
Even if you want to go to California from here, if you want to move everything to California, that funeral home in California got to honor what we did in South Carolina.
Yo, I did not know this. I'm reading the comments. Janice said, do any of you do seminars, presentations on preparing for the end of life pre-need?
We do.
Mm-hmm. We're working on it.
Yeah, we really do, because it's important. It's very important. Mm-hmm. So we do a lot of seminars on pre-needs and insurance, because in the African American community historically, we have not been trained properly on insurance, the different types of insurance, whole life, graded, term. We need to know about all of that. We also need to know that most insurance companies have what they call a contestability period, which means that you have to have that policy for 2 whole years before they'll pay that premium out. And most people don't know that. They think as soon as you get an insurance policy, it's going to pay automatically. And that's not the case in most instances. Our funeral home actually does not honor, we do not accept any contestable policies here at all. If it's less than 2 years old, we don't accept it, because what they have to do is a medical examination, and it may come back 6 months down the road that we're not going to pay this, and now we're stuck with a bill. So we don't take those at all.
Oh wow. That's good information. And Sonia said, this is good information to know, because a lot of the stuff that you guys are saying, I did not know this.
Yes. I mean, insurance is something we really, I mean, we have families who bring in accidental policies, which means the person would have had to die from an accident for it to pay out. Or they have medical insurance that they think is whole life insurance, and it's not. So those are the things that we need to kind of be educated on.
Because, to be honest with you, I'm glad you mentioned the difference. I didn't, and I don't know if I don't think I still know the difference between the whole life and the term life. And then I think, because I think I have whole life, I have term life, and I have an accidental death policy.
Yeah, term life usually is 20 years. You have some 30 years. It means exactly what it says. Once that term is over, it's over. And you have to start all over, get another policy.
What?
That's true. That's true.
That's why you can get more.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
And Janice was saying that she said, is it listed? Because when she asked the question earlier about the pre-need end of life, she said, is it listed on your website? Do you have that listed on your website?
We have pre-need information on our website, yes.
Okay. And Miss Brockett says, I'm listening. Listen, I'm gonna have to watch the replay for myself, because this is information that I did not know. Because like I always hear people talk about buying the plots, but I don't hear anybody talking about the pre-need. And that makes a lot of sense if you bought a policy back in 2018 and you still honor it in 2023, the same amount. And the fact that you said that I could move to California and still honor the policy, the pre-need that was created in South Carolina. Yeah. I did not know that. So y'all are educating me.
Can't touch that money.
Wow. Yeah, we can't touch that. And Miss Tanya TV says, very valuable information. Listen, I'm taking notes. Matter of fact, when we got this live, I need to talk to somebody about a pre-need to see what I need to do. So, because I have my son is 17, and if something happens to me, I don't want him to be stressed out about it.
Well, let me say this about let me say this about that. So I see a lot of times that and we're trying to do the best for our kids, that we will name minors as beneficiaries on policies.
Yeah.
What people need to understand about that is they can't touch that until 18. So that's something we can't use at all. So the way I have my insurance set up is I have it split with my mother, and I have the other half in a trust the trust is the beneficiary on half of the money. So what happens is my daughter's mother will be able to access that money to take care of my daughter. So it's in the name of my mother, Ernestine Myers, and the trust for my daughter.
And I think, and if
My
I'm glad you.
daddy just pointed at me saying he want to know what's his name on it. It's not.
And I'm glad you said that because I have mine set up to where I have my brother and my mother as beneficiaries, and because my son is still under 18, it's set up as a trust. I'm glad you pointed that out. That is right, because I remember them asking me. They were telling me that would be a trust if something happened to me now while he was a minor, then his would be a trust fund. So yeah, I'm glad you pointed out that information.
Absolutely.
And Isaac says whole life is better if you're younger and you can borrow from that whole life policy later in life. Am I correct?
That's very true.
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let me ask
most people don't know that whole life policies are actually collateral.
It's an investment.
It's collateral.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Y'all gonna have me checking my policies when I get off this live.
Exactly.
Listen.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask this question. I have a policy. How does that Gerber life grow up? Because my son is now 17, and I've had that policy on him since he was 4 months old. How does that?
I think what I think is it maybe, and I don't get in your business. I think it may be like, is it like 20,000?
I don't remember
because I think they cap it at a certain amount.
Okay.
Kids, because I have one on my daughter as well.
Okay.
But my plan is to get another one though.
Okay.
Once she gets a little bit older, that will be more.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know my mother took out an additional policy in addition to that one, but I don't remember how much it was. But I don't even.
You might want to check with them because it's supposed to double at some point. It's supposed to roll over, so you may want to check your paperwork or check your agent who did it for you, or just call the company and they'll let you know.
Okay, sounds good.
Also, since we're talking about insurances, if you got somebody like your mother or your grandmother who's up in age, who's like in their 60s, 70s, 80 years old, and they had insurance policies for a long time, you know how we used to have the insurance man come by the house and sit down with you. If you had one for a long time, you know, I've recognized where older folks are coming here with a $5,000 policy. And they probably took this policy out back in the 60s or 70s. And they've been paying for this thing for so long. The insurance company will try to give you just that $5,000 that you've been paying for forever and a day, that mama been paying for forever and a day, right? If you don't know any better. But if you got somebody who's good with numbers, they probably actually owe you more money than that $5,000. I'm sure they do. You know, it depends on what kind of insurance they have. I mean, because I had an incident where I had an older lady. She was in her 80s. Her son died in his 60s, and she had to bury him. She had a $5,000 policy. And I just happened to be looking. I was like, "Dog, she had this policy forever and a day." I said, "Were you still paying for this?" She said, "Yeah, it was still taking it out my account. It wasn't much that they were taking out. But if you've been paying for this thing for over 30 years, I mean, it should have been paid for."
Right.
So I ended up calling the insurance company, and I had somebody in my office at the time that was good with numbers. And they said, "Yes, $5,000. We'll send it on or whatever we need to do to get it to you." I said, "No, sir." I said, I think you owe her a little bit more money." So her funeral bill ended up being, I think it was $8,000. She had a $5,000 policy. She was wondering how she was going to pay for it. And I was like, she's 80 years old. I like somebody like that. You're going to find ways to try to help her. You see what I'm saying? Funeral homes don't do payment plans for funerals because we got to pay for this funeral. We got to pay the vault man. We got to pay the grave digger. We got to pay employees. We got to pay for these cars. We got to pay for insurance. This air conditioning heat need to blow.
Yeah.
The doors didn't swing open. I mean, all these things, they cost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when it comes down to a funeral, her funeral was like $8,000. She had $5,000. So I checked into it. So when she came back to see her son for the first viewing time, she was planning on sitting down with me so we can figure out how can we, make up payments. I told her, I said, I'm not gonna have making no payments of $100 and something or $200 something a month. I said, because she's on a fixed income. She's 80 years old, trying to bury her son. So anyway, I ended up calling the insurance company and hashing it out with them. They ended up owing her more money, enough money to where her funeral bill was paid off, and I had to write her a check to where she can take it home with her.
Wow.
And she was living single wide trailer, but it needed a lot of work done to it. The next time I saw her, she had a new single wide trailer, 3-bedroom single wide trailer. It was new, air conditioned, heat working. I mean, so when I used to see her in the church or something like that, she would stop in the middle of the aisle and be like, "Boy, if you don't come here," you know what I mean? So I'm getting full of thinking about it. But anyway, it was just nice to know that, to feel like I might have something to do with her getting a new place. You know what I mean? Lo and behold, she ended up passing away probably about 2 years after that. And her other sons bought, Mama wants you to take care of her. But anyway, it just felt good. You know what I mean? Those are those people that you hold tight to.
Right.
Yeah. So what I was saying was checking into your moms and your grandmama's insurance. If they got insurance, check into them. Don't just say, "Mama got insurance." Call these people and figure out how long they had this policy.
Right.
How much are they paying?
Right.
Where are you getting your money from? Is it coming directly out of their account? How is this going? And tell your loved ones not to just take that policy and put it in the top drawer. But if the house burned down, then what?
Right.
Go to Walmart, go to the Tractor Supply place, get you a little safe that costs you about $30 or $40. Put all your stuff in there. So if anything would happen in this place, it burned down, you still got that box of what you need to do to take care of your loved one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's important to keep all the documentation, because I know one of the insurance companies policies I had, it changed. Another company bought it out.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make sure you keep up with that paperwork. And then, and that's why a lot of times when people die and pass away, they don't have the necessary policy. That's why they have to start the GoFundMe accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And so let me ask y'all this question with when people lose their loved ones and they don't have policies and they have the GoFundMe, how does it, because I'm not exactly sure, and I'm pretty sure somebody else may need to know the answer to this question. How exactly does that GoFundMe account works? Like, how do y'all give them a set time to pay off the bill? Because of course everything has to be paid in full before the funeral, correct?
48 hours.
48 hours?
I need my money.
Yeah.
Are you serious? 48 hours?
Yeah.
Before the service. Yeah.
Before the service.
Mm-hmm.
So your funeral is Friday.
I think me speaking, I think when it comes to that GoFundMe stuff, it doesn't have to be that way per se.
Mm-hmm.
But it's what we cause on ourselves. Even being a young man, not being braggadocious, but me personally, I have 3 policies.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they wonder, well, why you so young and, you got all these policies. Well, at least I know for myself that if something was to happen to me today, nobody have to get on Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and posting these GoFundMe links, And even for our generation, I wish that we would do a better job with getting life insurance policies. Mine, for instance, one of mine is $55 a month. So, if you can go, a big drug dealer, you making such and such amount of money a day, you can go and buy this gold chains and rings and bracelets and gold teeth, top and bottom. You spending all the money on that. So, but you're not thinking about your life, You're not thinking about the necessities, of what you're going to need.
I tell them all the time, we all know what we do for a living, and we know how we live. If you're making that kind of money, why not cover yourself? The younger you are in getting insurance, the less expensive it is. So once you start waiting, you get to my age, it start getting more expensive. Yeah.
Right. Right.
So I know we at 20 years old, you really ain't thinking about that, but we should. But it comes from our community of knowing, and stop saying that. I want to talk about that. We need to talk about it.
Listen, Draper, you stepping on my toes because I'm good for that. I don't want to talk about that.
We got to. We need to talk about it.
Oh,
if we don't talk about if we don't talk about it, that's why we don't be in the know. Well, that's why we don't know. So that's why now, like you're saying, I never knew about that because we won't talk about it.
That's true. That's true. That's very true. Because I didn't know any of this because I don't like to talk about it. And look at Voodoo Child. Now, y'all don't mind Voodoo Child. He's a jokester, but look at his comment. He says, "You take chicken bog as form of payment."
No, but I'll take a box.
I sure will. Sure will. Thanks.
I'll take a box.
And Janet says, "This is good stuff. We need to invest in ourselves."
We do. We certainly do.
We do. When it comes to like GoFundMe, I really don't deal with it. That's something the family will have to deal with. I don't have time to really deal with it because my time need to be into making sure that I can make your loved one look the best I possibly can. I need to make sure that the church is ready to for the service. I need to make sure the pastor is on the same page. I need to make sure your program is right. I ain't got time to really be watching and see. You got $200 today,
right? Right.
And I don't even want to take the responsibility of it. So what I tell my family is come in. And a lot of times they come in and say, "What kind of packages do you have?" I said, "Well, I don't have any packages, but we can make your own personal package. That's why I don't have any packages.
Right.
We can come and sit down and see exactly what you need. All right. Now, once we see exactly what you need, let's see, can we skim some stuff off that you really don't got to have, but you're still going to have the service, but you're not going to be missing this." You see what I'm saying? I tell people all the time when they come to the limos, why you got to have a limo? That don't make my service. You can't, if you're driving down the highway, you can't see in my cars anyway. The same thing I tell a person on a motorcycle, why you ain't got your helmet on? Nobody can see you when they pass by. The only time they can see you is at the light.
Right.
So what I was saying was limos don't make my service. The funeral home you choose makes your service. We set the atmosphere for your service. What kind of service do you want to have? All of our services are, especially me and Brian and a lot of the other funeral homes around this way, we personalize your service. I want to know about your loved one. I want to know, if I don't already know him, I want to know that he loved to fish, did he love to hunt? Was his team the Steelers or the Eagles or whatever? Did he like basketball? So what can I do to make this about them and not about you? It's not about you. You have your day. We all have our day. But this day is about your loved one who passed away. So I want to know more about them and what's going to make this family more comfortable in this situation.
Right. Right. Now, let me ask you this question, because a lot of times I feel like, let me see, Mrs. Shakia Ward says good points. A lot of times, especially when you guys know people beforehand, how often, because a lot of times, we are around people when they first lose their loved one. We're there every day. But after the funeral, that's when people need you the most. So I'm pretty sure the type of men that you all are, I'm pretty sure you reach out to those families afterwards, right? Because sometimes some people think that when the funeral is over, I'll check on whatever. I'm one of those people. If I say I'm going to check on you, I'm going to check on you. But then there's some people, they'll come around you around the funeral time. But when the funeral over, you don't hear from or see from them anymore.
Well, I think, and I can speak for Drake because he and I have talked about this before. That is the very reason why our transition to ownership was a little easier, because we had relationships with the families that we served before. Draper would back us in our deal, me with Levy's and Palmer's. I made it a habit, and I still do this to this day. I give all my families my cell phone number. And I still talk to a lot of families that I served at Palmer's 20 years ago. If I'm in the neighborhood and I see, and I'm around somebody's house that I'm familiar with, I go visit or call to make sure that they're good. Because the reason why I got into the industry was because Samuel Marshall was our funeral director. Just like you have a dentist, you have a minister, you should have a funeral director. And he was our funeral director because he came by my grandfather's house, my grandparents' house, and sat on the porch and drunk tea and told lies and stuff like we do in America. That's what he was family to us. So I want to do the same thing, because I don't want my first conversation or my last conversation to be at the cemetery. Then the next time is when someone passed. So I want to be your funeral director. I want you to call me by my first name, Brian. And that is historically what the African American community was about. The preachers, teachers, and funeral directors were the pillars of the community. And so our industry is still seen in some reverence. And I think we should go back to those traditions. So many things are commercialized now. And we need to go back to the days of old. And I know Draper does it, because let me tell you, I had a service in Florence 2 weekends ago. And I'm floored by just the admiration that the people in Florence have for him. And it's genuine, because he's a genuine person.
Yes.
It's rare that you find, especially African-American men, we just get such a bad rap sometimes. But to see a young man like Draper Myers, who is doing phenomenal things, and the community is embracing him and love him, that's important. And he's going to be doing this as long as he wants to do it on a high level. So that's the kind of stuff that we have to continue to do, is make sure that our families are good.
Absolutely. And look at what Tanya says. This is too funny. She says the first question everybody asks is, who got the body?
That's right. Listen, if it ain't Myers or Myers, dot.
Just listen. I told my hold on, let me see what Draper. Listen. Because I told my son, I said, well, I gotta do a podcast. He said, you podcast on the Tuesday? I said, yeah. He said, who's gonna be on the podcast? I said, Draper. He said, Draper. Now, mind you, he's 17. He said, Draper, that name sound for me. Oh, the funeral man.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, I've noticed, like, over the years, some funeral homes like that been here forever, and they did well. They passed down from their family to family. Sometimes they get to the point where they're untouchable.
Yeah,
and that bothers me. I've worked for people, and I've been in there working 6 o'clock in the morning. You come walking in the door at 9, 10, or 11, and you walk past me, don't even speak. That's it. Don't take but 2 seconds to say, hey, good morning. Now that bothers me. You know, I don't want to be a funeral director who's untouchable. Because that feels like, to me, that you don't have a heart. You just here to go to work and go home. And these people need more than that. They need to be educated. You need to talk to them. They need to understand what's going on. And that's just how I feel about
it. and that's probably why people love you so much, because that's like right. Brian said, you're very genuine.
Absolutely. And that's
very
rare.
Genuine.
Let me tell you something. And I mean all of the shade. This gonna be a shady comment. Funeral directors are arrogant people, and if any of them have an issue with that, my number, you can find me. Are arrogant, entitled individuals, because we're used to being the pillar of the community. We're used to people having so much admiration for us, and we lose the humanity, you know, and that's unfortunate. Draper and I are on the pulse of the community. Like, we do community service because I come from a single parent home, where the village took care of me, and it's my job to make sure I'm taking care of the community.
That's right.
I'm trying to do something for the community every day, once a week. If we just taking donuts to the people who wash our cars, or we're doing breakfast for my high school or my elementary school teachers, that's important.
Yeah.
These are the people who allow us to be what we are. And I think that sometimes funeral directors don't understand, and there's a sense of entitlement, that people are supposed to use us, or people are supposed to come to us, or people are supposed to treat us a certain way. And not everybody deserves respect, period.
Everybody.
Absolutely.
Respect
Now
is
let me
due to a
ask,
dog.
let me ask Brandon a question. So Brandon,
Uh-huh.
you got Maya, Draper, and Brian to look up to. Is from your own words, how does it feel to have those two as mentors? Because they are such great examples. But in your own words, how does it feel to have those two as mentors? And I'm pretty sure you have other mentors as well, but these two right here stand out. So I'm giving you the opportunity to say what that means to you.
It feels good to have them both as mentors, and reason being is because both of them are real, and kind of piggyback off what Brian said about funeral directors, being, arrogant with a title and whatnot. And then I feel as if because, they're used to, as they stated, they're used to being that one that everyone is, used to having served them. But then here comes the new face on the block, using Draper per se. Here comes the new face on the block. But, the services are different. And I like the saying that Draper has. He tells me all the time now, when you get to where you're going, first of all, it's not going to be easy. But when you get to where you're going, remain the same. Don't get the big head, because, everyone that's first is going to be last. Everyone that's last, of course, is going to be first. And so with that being said, just wait your turn. Wait on God, keep that faith, keep trusting. And so, it feels good to have them as mentors. And back to what Brian said about, community service. My grandfather's funeral was on a Sunday, and we had to bury him at National on a Monday. I kind of, we talk, communicate during the service on walkie-talkies. And so we was riding to the cemetery, and I got on the walkie-talkie, and I said, hey, man, y'all got, my granddaddy got the city lit up. I mean, cops everywhere escorting us, and so, next thing I know, Draper went out and brought those officers lunch, and so it makes a difference when somebody, you show, those that are helping you in the time of need, you showing them that you really care and that you appreciate them. So, it feels great to have them as mentors. Both of them has given me multiple opportunities to, they entrusted me to go and pick up loved ones for them. Those are things that, they didn't have to do. With Mr. Brian being in Colombia, he didn't have to trust me to go this far, to pick up a loved one, a deceased loved one for him, but, he did, that, I really appreciate all of that.
That's awesome. Now, any final words? Yo, now let me say this before we end. Now, mind you, Brandon and Mr. Brian, you can back me up. Now, well, before we went live, Draper said he was nervous, right?
Right. He said, I didn't see that.
Who did the most talking?
Right. I was like, I know you ain't nervous.
If I got these two gentlemen online with me, I'm good. If I fall short, they gonna pick me up anyway. So I was good.
I got you.
Somebody he nervous. Okay.
I'm for real. The only time I'm not nervous, really, and I don't understand it. And that's how I know it's my calling. The only time I'm not nervous is on the funeral.
Yeah, you're not. That's your element. Let me see what Miss
Definitely.
Tanya TV says. Miss Tanya TV says, for a long time when my daughter was younger and people asked her what she wanted to be when she grew up, she wanted to be a mortician. I don't know why. And she has grew up and she changed her mind.
It happens. It
Yeah.
happens. It happens.
I'm gonna tell you one
You know,
thing
Yeah.
a lot of people,
about
a lot
funeral
of people have
service.
that mindset that they want to be a mortician, and sometimes they grow up thinking that, but then when they actually get to see it, because for a long time, you know, that's what I said until, you know, Draper took me back there to see my first post case, what we call autopsy. And I was like, you know what? I don't think that's what I want to do. So, you know, a lot of people just say, you know, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna put on this shirt and tie. Or I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna put on this dress with my name badge. You know, it's more to that. You know, sometimes it takes getting dirty. You know, I mean, you know, it's a job that, you know, a lot of people ask me now, you know, do you like what you do? And I tell them, no, I don't like it. I love it. You know, because, you know, to do this, you have to love it.
Yeah.
Right.
'Cause it
You all
consumes-
have the gift to do it.
Funeral service consumes your life. It is your life. We sleep, eat, funeral service.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
a lot of times, you know, and especially if you were to decide to get married or anything of that nature, that person need to know what is going. You know, people that looking from the outside in, or they putting on a suit and tie, they look good, they just that and the third. They might get off at 5. We don't know when we're gonna get off. Sometimes we think, all right, I'm gonna leave out of here today about 4 o'clock. And I'm not leaving out at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Wow.
Just getting home, and you know, you don't take your nice shower. You know, you ready to rub your feet together and get in the bed.
Yeah.
I always know. This Draper called me 4 o'clock in the morning. You working? That means, you know, it's a call. It's time to go to work. You know, tell me such and such place, or you know,
I'll tell
where does
my
the
ass,
season at? You know.
I know it's 4 o'clock in the morning. You in business?
Yeah, that's what he asked.
That's right. Let's get to it.
Oh my goodness. Shaquille says, speak Brandon.
Yeah.
Nigel says, serving other come from the heart and is genuine. Draper always shows that a great boss.
Absolutely.
And Shaquille also says, in this industry, it's a calling. These gentlemen all have the calling genuinely.
Thank you.
Awesome.
That's what's
That's awesome. So any final words, because I done took up the hour of y'all time. I want, before, when you say your final words, I want you also tell everyone your social media handles and, you know, your social media handles and how to get in contact. Because they may want to reach out to you. You never know who's watching. They may want to, you know.
I'll start off by saying, I've told Draper this in person, but I just want to tell him so everybody will know how proud I am of you, brother, and all the great things you've done. And I'm just happy to know you. Brandon, the same way, man. You know that we get a bad rap as African American men, and what most people don't realize is that females get complimented all day long. You have a nice dress, your hair is pretty. Men don't get that a lot, especially from other men. And it's something that we need. I don't care how masculine you are, we need affirmation as well. Yeah. And I just want to tell these two brothers how much I love both of you and how much I'm happy that you all are part of my life and I can call you brother. And that's rare. That's rare that you can do that. Because on the flip of that, men can be catty. And we can be catty. But I just want to say that these two brothers have been genuine to me, and there's a love that I have for both of them. So all of my social media handles are Brian W. Myers SC on Facebook, Instagram, and Myers Mortuary SC is our handle for Facebook, Instagram, and we have a huge TikTok following. Over 200,000 followers. If you get a chance, look at our face. We kind of have we have all female services where females do everything. So if you get a chance to look at some of our social media handles, Shakia Ward is on that as well. You'll see her. She's part of our family. You'll see her there. as well. We were one of the first in America to do all female funerals. So if you all get a chance to check that out, please do. Thank you for having me too.
And they are sharp. You need to check it out, Tori. They sharp.
Oh, you know, check it out.
Well,
Brandon or Draper, whoever's next, whoever want to go next.
I go. Well, first off, to these two gentlemen, Brian. First off, to you, I watched you from where you came from, opening your own place, and I watched the struggle that you had to go through. But you made it look so easy. You did it with grace. You still walk with grace, and you walk with your head up. Nobody never knows what you're going through because you make it look so good. But I know sitting at this desk and you sitting behind yours, I could imagine the things that's in that head of yours every day. And for you to take this hour out to be with us today, I appreciate that, at the last minute. But always know that you've been an inspiration to me. And I'm thankful for your life as well, and your business, and your mom, your dad. They treat me like family.
That's right.
We got the same last name, so we really don't know. Man,
That's
keep
right.
doing your thing and keep being blessed. Keep being a blessing to your family and your community. We all are watching, just as well as we're watching each other. So what I don't know, I lean on you. What you don't know, you're more than welcome. If I know it, I'm gonna spill it back to you.
Thank you, brother.
And Brandon, I'm very, very proud of you and where you come from and where you're going. I can see it. The sky is the limit for you.
Mm-hmm.
You have what it takes. You have the work ethic, and you have the personality, and that's why I stick to you close. I don't let too many people get too close to me. But he's been with me for a long time. He probably could tell you everything about me. But he's a great young man. He's energetic. He gets the work done, and he look good doing it. So do what you got to do to get to where you want to go to. I'm here to push you any way I can and to give you any kind of information I can. I'm not going anywhere. Bless you, brother. Tori, now you have put this podcast together, and I've been watching some of them. And this is awesome, really.
It
I
is.
love it.
It really is.
This is nice.
It really is.
You made me comfortable.
It's awesome.
Yeah, man. So keep doing your thing. The community needs to know. If we can help you any kind of way, you already know you can reach out to us. You done gained a new friend with Mr. Myers here.
Absolutely. We're family now.
If you go to Columbia, if you go to the Metro, the Met, and you call that name, the road's gonna be clear. Thank you for having
I got
me.
you covered on this.
And I'm Draper G. Myers at drapermyers@gmail.com. Draper G. Myers Mortuary LLC at Gmail. I'm Draper G. Myers on Facebook. I don't have an Instagram yet. I think I'm gonna have to get one.
He's about to get one.
Yeah.
I got a TikTok, but I don't stay on it much. But it's doing pretty good. My Facebook, people really follow me on my Facebook mostly.
Mm-hmm.
And it does really well. So, and Brandon kind of hears that up a lot too. So
Okay.
thank you for having me on the show. I am thankful to be on it. I'm thankful you thought of me to even put me on here.
Listen, Draper, I've been asking you for 2 years, and actually somebody told me about you 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, let me ask him. But it took me a year to ask, and then you've been running for like 2 years. So it wasn't that bad, was it?
It wasn't too bad.
And Brandon, give everyone your and then I'm gonna ask Brandon after Brandon does his social media handles. I'm gonna ask Brandon another question. I'm gonna put Brandon on the spot. But go ahead, Brandon.
Well, my social media is just plain Brandon Brown on Facebook. Can't quite remember my Instagram, but it's on there somewhere. And so also the owner and operator of Brown's Mortuary Transport. So to any other funeral homes or funeral director and embalmers out there that should ever need my services, you can get in touch with me on Facebook and give me a call. Just to make you laugh real quick before you put me on the spot, that was a lady. Once I put my official flyer out a few years ago, I was in the Walgreens and she called and she said, "Hey, I saw your flyer on Facebook." Not reading, and it has big across the front, mortuary transport. And she called and said, "You transport Medicaid patients too?" I said, "No, ma'am." I said, "I transport the deceased." And she clicked off the phone. So
reading is fundamental.
No, I do not transport the living, but I do transport the deceased if you all shall ever need me. So.
Reading is definitely fundamental.
Good man.
I know people don't read on social media. They'll just see the picture a lot of times and miss the whole caption. And Tanya asked me a question. She said, "So Tori, would you date a funeral director?" Tanya, really?
Let me say this. If you do, let me tell you what we need. Why y'all laughing? We need to be able to come home to our peace. Mm-hmm. Because we take on emotions all day long. We have to deal with family chaos. And a lot of times it's directed to us. Mm-hmm. If you look at 90% of all social media complaints about funeral home, the funeral director has nothing to do with it. It's family feuds. We need to be able to come home to somebody who says, "Listen, baby, it's me and you against the world. Yeah. I got you." That's all we need. That's it. And if we can get that, you'll be a happy wife. Mm-hmm. Trust me.
It's something to eat.
And something to eat. Something besides chicken, string beans, and potato salad.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah, this is good.
I can do that. That's easy. I'm a peacemaker, so that's easy.
Good.
And to answer Tanya's question, yeah, I would, Tanya. If the Lord sent one my way, I would. And I think Sandra was answering Tanya's question because I think Tanya was asking what Mr. Bryan's TikTok was. Is that
it's Myers Mortuary SC.
Yes,
Myers
that's why
that's all of our social media handles. So
okay, so that's the TikTok handle. And then William Stook says facts. Yeah. And Miss Tiny TV says respect, brothers, respect all times.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
that. And then William Stook says no repass food.
No repass food.
None.
William, the guy Brian William, that's who does a lot of my live streaming.
I need to get in touch with him. I've asked about him. I need to get in touch with him.
Yeah, he does a lot of my live streaming. When COVID hit and we were trying to figure out ways of families being able to come to these funerals or being able to just have their presence there. William, I got with him. This was his first time messing with it too. So it was new to us, so we had to do all kind of different, try different avenues for families to be from New York that couldn't come down to their loved one who passed away down here. And man, he did an awesome job. And he still does it for me.
Awesome. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I get his information from you.
Okay. And Shaquille says, "Great job, men."
Thanks, sis.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
William put his number. He put his number there for you, Brian.
I got you. I'll take a picture of it now.
Okay.
Now I'm hungry.
Got him.
Okay, now, Brandon, while Mr. Bryan was taking a picture, this is what I want you to do for me. You have such a beautiful voice. I know you got a little song. You can sing us a little something. Cause listen, wow. Brandon, you remember you came to my church, Strong Tower, and you sung with the choir. So I already know how beautiful your voice is. So anytime I have anyone on the pod that I know that can sing, I always sing. So I know you can sing a note of something, Brandon. Oh, did you
did put me on the spot, right? Oh. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Oh, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me.
Thank you, Brandon.
Man. Oh, man. That's good stuff there, bro.
Listen, y'all have been amazing. We got to do this again. Jakia says, Jarvis says, sing brother. And Shakia says,
that's a singer and a preacher indeed right there now.
Yeah, Jarvis.
He'll sing under the pews. So we're gonna get him on here.
Come on, bring him on. Because I told you I want to do like a series with just men, focusing on men because men matter. A lot of times we focus on the women, but we need to cater to our men as well. And Shakia says, sing Brandon. Draper got the baritone, but I don't know what that brown. What? Wait a minute. Hold up. I don't have my glasses on. She said Draper got the baritone, but I don't know what a brown saying.
Kid got jokes.
Matter of fact, Draper, you do sing, don't it?
In the background.
Draper.
In the background.
Draper, let me find out you sing too, don't it?
In the background.
And William says, I tuned in late, but great job, everyone.
Thank you, bro.
Will.
Thank you, sir.
And Miss Tanya TV says, give it up for the good brothers.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then Shakia says I meant Brian.
Oh.
Wait a minute, Mr. Brian, you sing too?
I can't sing at all. At all. Like they'll be like, turn his mic off. I can't sing at all. This is the craziest thing. I'm gonna let you go. I actually do not like being seen at like on funerals at all. I'm in the background. If you look at any of most of our social media, you don't see me on most of it. I just don't like it. I'm an introvert.
Yeah.
For real.
Is that such a word, an introvert?
I am. Mm-hmm. I don't like all of that stuff.
Oh my goodness, Bracken says awesome, man. Yeah, I got to have you guys back because look like my ratings went way up today.
We would love it.
See, they love hearing from the men. So I got to have you guys back. And Brandon, just so you know, whenever you're on this podcast, you might as well have your song prepared. Yeah.
Okay. Well, at least I know now.
But let me say this also. Thank you for shining a light on African American men. To piggyback on what you said, it's a lot of times you see negative information about us or negative news. Any of the three of us on this podcast could walk on an elevator in street clothes, and somebody of the opposite race would go to the far right, thinking that we are a detriment to them, not knowing that we are owners of businesses and we are pillars in the community. So thank you for doing what you did today, because it doesn't happen a whole lot. And I just want to tell you, I appreciate it.
You're absolutely welcome. I believe in spotlighting people in the community, especially the men, because the men, a lot of times the men get overlooked. So I want to make sure I spotlight the men. So that's why I want to do more shows like this with men. But if I follow up with Draper been running for me, y'all, for about 2 years.
You're not gonna run no more. You're not gonna run no more.
You got him now.
So listen, y'all. Every time I say Draper, so we on. Let's reschedule. Draper, really? So when I text Draper today, I said we still on there. He's like, yeah. I said for real. He's like, yeah, we good.
You ain't know what to do when I said yeah.
I didn't. Honestly, I didn't. Because I said, what? I was like, what excuse Draper gonna have today? But you got me today, and I thank you, God. Thank you for bringing Brandon and Brian on today. This has been awesome and amazing. I'm looking forward to the next one. Miss Tanya says, I think William sings and shoot the live stream. Okay. And then Dolores says, come on, son, Draper. Mother loves you, and all of you men are awesome in the eyes of God.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you.
So wait a minute. So she said, Draper, come on, son, Draper. Draper, you're not telling me a field. Do you really sing? Can you sing for real?
No, I can sing background. I'm good in the background. I'm good. Now, if Brandon sings, if you listen a little bit, you'll hear me in the background backing him up.
Cause I could have sworn I just saw a post a few days ago, and someone had a picture of Draper in the church, and they said they missed Draper saying something to that effect.
There was a
That
post.
was
I saw
that
a
was
post last
that was
week
their
where
church
he was-
anniversary with the Sunbeam choir.
Listen, and his eyes was closed and everything.
Right.
I
Right.
love y'all, man.
See,
He
Draper
said make a joyful noise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm just happy that you showed up, that didn't have no excuse today. So listen, for that I am thankful. And like I said, you brought Brandon and Brian on. So this was really good. Look at Shakia. Shakia says baritone.
Yeah. Yeah.
She got jokes all day.
Oh,
And
yeah.
look, Sandra says church anniversary.
That's
See?
what it was. Yeah.
I believe Draper can sing, but he just don't want to sing for the people today. But just have your song prepared the next time.
That's
I
right.
have a little something.
Even if you got to do because I do poetry. I can't sing. I don't have a voice, but I write poetry.
I love poetry.
So even if you need to write something, we could do that. But I thank you all for taking time out of your schedule, because like I said, and I know for sure Draper and Brandon be busy all the time, and I'm pretty sure you are, Brian, as well. So make sure you guys take time. Wait a minute, say what you said.
This gentleman in the bottom left corner of my screen, Brian Myers. If you think I'm busy, wait till you get on his media outlets. When you get on his Facebook, you'll see how busy he is.
He worse than you?
Oh, he's worse than me. He got 2 locations.
2. Everybody in neighborhood.
God has been good.
Everybody in neighborhood.
God is good.
Well, what I was gonna say with you guys' line of work, please make sure you take time out for yourself. Make sure you rest. I tell Draper this all the time. Like I'll be like, yo, you rest, you get some rest. I'm trying, but you guys, you have awesome staff. So make sure you train your staff accordingly. And Draper, like you said, Brandon can handle things when you're not around, but you guys definitely have to make sure you get the proper rest. Absolutely. Because you all operate in excellence, and we want you guys to be around a long time. So please make sure you get rest. It's very, 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 very important. But back to answering what Tanya asked me earlier, that actually would be because this is kind of off topic, but she asked a question: would I date a funeral director? Much as y'all work, it would be easy because I don't like nobody up under me all the time anyway.
That's right.
So when y'all come home, listen, you come home to a peaceful house, make sure dinner ready. If the bath water got to be run, I'll do that. Make sure you straight and
okay.
Yeah.
I know that's right.
Yeah, listen.
I know in Florence County they still cooking, but in Richland County, you might as well take the kitchen out their house and just make it a big living room. Because cooking up here. They ain't cooking nothing up here.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
We from the Low Country, Berkeley County. We use the rice and grits every day.
Yeah. Listen, and Kendra says, hold on. Kendra says, seriously, we got Energy Practical Purpose Solutions. Matter of fact, Kendra, she has the drips where if you need energy, she'll get you right. Yeah. Draper know about it now, Brian. When you come to Florence, holla at
Kendra. I will. Girl, she good people. She got a nice business.
I will.
And Tanya says, listen, I just went to the TikTok. The brother ain't playing no games.
Ain't playing no games, though.
I'm going to check it out, Tanya. I'm going to check it out.
Thank you, Miss Tanya.
And Shakia says, girl, you better advertise.
Kid, you know you don't cook.
And Shakia says, I cook, Brian.
Now, Shakia can cook. Now, let me say this. Shakia Myers Ward, and I don't care who sees this, is by far one of the best funeral directors can handle a funeral in America, and people
Mhm.
know her across this country as one of the baddest funeral directors to do it. That young lady right there, Shakia Ward. That's my sister.
Wow.
She tough.
Yes.
She tough.
Yeah, she tough.
Yeah, she
I'll
tough.
put her up against any man. Hands down.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ooh. I
Any,
need to be
any
reaching
man
out to
across this
Shakia too
country,
then.
I'll put that young lady against. Can handle a service, can speak what is just she's a real deal.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm probably reaching out to Draper. Look at you forming some connections.
Oh yeah, we
You
family.
know what I'm saying?
And Sandra says she totally agree with Tanya when she was talking about Tanya to the TikTok. She said you ain't playing, and Miss Tanya said she said I'm impressed.
Thank you.
It's very impressive.
Wow, I'm gonna go check it out. And Kendra says congratulations, Shakia. And William, this is William's business YouTube, said that's dope.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sis.
Shakia says, thanks, Brian. You taught me all I know. I just love to serve.
So let me say this, and I hate to keep talking, but at 47 years, I'm 46 years old, I'm not 47. At 46, I want to be, what my accomplishment is, I have a part in who's the next.
Mm-hmm.
I want to touch whoever the next best is. Mm-hmm. I don't want nobody to say, Brian, you. At my age, I've been doing this long enough that people have patted me on my back, and I'm okay with that. I want to touch the next person. I'm a part of the world's greatest fraternity, Omega Psi Phi. And when when I was online, we used to have to recite bridge builders every night. Bridge builder is about building a bridge for those behind you to cross over. Mm-hmm. You don't go across the bridge and blow the bridge up. You go across the bridge so that you can bring others over. So at my age, from going forward, I want to make sure that Brandon is the best, the next best. You know, people like James Bell, who's here in Columbia, Tyrone Speaks in Atlanta, Shakia Myers Ward. I want to be able to have a hand in those people so that I can say that I helped them to do what they're doing now.
I did my job.
Yeah.
I did my job.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I love to hear that. I love to hear that. And Shakia says, she was thanking Kendria because Kendria was graduating. And Miss Tanya TV says, the horse-drawn carriage with the brass brand. Y'all better stop.
That's one of our Liberian families. We actually serve the Liberian community in Charlotte, North Carolina. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So anytime death in Charlotte, we actually go up there about 30 times a year, and we serve that entire community.
Yes,
wow. Listen, I'm gonna check it out when we sign off. And then Will says, at your service media, build as you climb. That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, you guys, I want to thank everyone for watching. If you missed the beginning, make sure you go back and watch replay, and make sure you follow all these gentlemen if you're not already following them. Because I'm definitely gonna check out Mr. Brian TikTok. Listen, that's where I'm at most of the time when I'm not on Facebook. I don't be on Facebook like that. But I like TikTok. I like TikTok. So I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna check you out.
Check me out.
But,
it's addictive.
Listen, you ain't got to tell me. I'm gonna get on here and I'm gonna scroll for about 15 minutes. I'm on there about 2-3 hours.
That's exactly what happened.
But I'm gonna definitely check you out. But I want y'all to hold on a second. I'm gonna sign off the live, but I want you guys to hold on. I want to talk to you a few minutes after we sign off. But once again, folks, everyone that's watching, thank you so much for watching the podcast. If you missed the beginning, make sure you watch the replay. Make sure you share this podcast because they shared a lot of valuable information. And I thank you all for tuning in. And I thank you guys for coming in at the last minute. I really appreciate it. It means a lot.
Anytime.
Listen, don't tell me that. I would definitely don't tell me that because I'll call on you now. I would definitely call on you.
Well, I enjoyed it.
All right, definitely.
I'm glad, Draper. See, you've been doing all that running for nothing.
I was trying to get the right. You know what I mean?
All right, you guys. But we're gonna close out, and like I said, y'all hold on a second. Once I end the live, I want to talk to y'all a few minutes. But thank you all for watching. And as I end each broadcast, I always tell people, whatever you're going through in this thing called life, you may bend, but don't you dare break. And remember, in all that you do, remember to always keep the faith. And we out. Y'all have a great evening.
See y'all later. Bye-bye.